So when I started looking at these, these paintings really kind of brought out the water part to me. And as I looked at this first one, what it really looked like to me was the typical ideal of what Appalachia is. When I moved back to Chattanooga, I'd lived in Chattanooga for about 3 months in the early 80s. And I seen this kind of image when I lived here at the time. It wasn't the city you see today. When you see Chattanooga today, you see this wonderful riverfront. And so that's kind of what I see in Chattanooga today, and that's one reason I selected this other picture. American Water purchased the Chattanooga system in 1887. It was property of 2 private utilities before then, 2 small utilities. And there had been quite a few issues with contamination, discharge into the river from sewage. Our company came in and bought it 125 years ago and relocated the intake structure and started investing in the community. Our customer satisfaction numbers are some of the highest in the company and some of the highest in the industry. But that comes with a cost. Infrastructure replacement today is in the forefront. You can't watch the news at night without hearing about bridges that need replaced, sewage plants that need redone, pipes in the ground that need redone, whether it's water or wastewater, both of them. The government itself, the EPA, just graded the infrastructure, water and wastewater infrastructure in the United States, and they gave themselves a D-. And that's too bad, but it's the truth. If you look at how long our water systems are in place, our system here is, like I said, 125 years old. Now, most of that system has been replaced over the years, but we have a lot of water mains that are 60, 80, 90 years old. How often should you replace infrastructure? How long should a water system last? Or a wastewater system? How long should some of those last? 50 years? 30 years? 100 years? Most of the infrastructure, water and wastewater infrastructure in the United States is on a 300, 400, or 500 year replacement cycle due to the investments. And some are much beyond that. Now, it's not that that's what everybody wants. Of course we don't. You know, what could possibly last 500 years in the ground? And if it's going to last that long, how much would it cost to put that in the ground? And who pays for that? The customer pays for that. Realistically, like I said, a lot of our infrastructure here in Chattanooga is 50, 60 years old or more, especially the downtown area. But as we look at this, we have to really look at what's the value of that. When I said, you know, you look at this painting and you can see kind of a potentially good future. If our infrastructure is in that kind of condition, what kind of future is that really going to be for us? We don't own the river. You know, we have a franchise agreement with the state of Tennessee that we've had since 1887 that allows us to withdraw water out of the river. We pay a fee for that annually. There's anywhere from about 20 to 50 billion gallons of water a day that's flowing past there, and sometimes quite a bit more. Right now, we're using 35 to 40, 45 million gallons a day. I said million, not billion.
Atlanta now halfway doesn't have enough water, right?
Yeah, Atlanta's got issues in the areas around Atlanta. We tend to be extremely idealistic to believe that it is our water. I mean, the river flowed from somewhere else first. It's just coming past Chattanooga. Eventually it gets to the Ohio River, then to the Mississippi River, then to the Gulf of Mexico. So if it's our water, where does that begin and where does that end?
I'd like to get back to what you mentioned about Atlanta, you know, is it our water? I think there's a lot of folks, myself included, who don't really look at it so much as our water, but look at Atlanta and see it as a prime example of terrible planning. And a city that has exceeded its carrying capacity.
Absolutely.
And it's unsustainable. And to actually allow them to stick a straw in there will allow Atlanta to continue to grow and consume native habitats like we're looking at here, and just gobble them up. So that's a good point. That's the other side of the equation.
Absolutely. And kind of, it goes into some of the questions on the planning, just between utilities. They have not done a lot of the planning that should have been done. And as we look at that, that needs to be, and now I don't live in Atlanta, I don't live in Georgia, And, but I can say that needs to be something they need to do. They need to do.
And just to add to that, I was reading yesterday, which is something many of us know about, you know, we always thought the Colorado River would flow to the Gulf of California.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't make it there anymore.
No.
Because there's a compact, there's 7 states, and now the delta in the Mexican area is dried up, and there are cultures down there, there's ecosystems down there that are devastated. So, you know, there was a day when we always thought there would be enough water until we started building cities and deserts.
Absolutely. Your point about the planning is a very good point. And that needs to be discussed, because if we don't do it, we being the 2 states, Georgia and Tennessee, if they don't really look at this problem, it's going to become worse. And it's going to become worse. Then the federal government will come in. And then whose decision is it going to be what happens? It could be a great decision, who knows? But right now, we as people in this area can influence those decisions as much as they can influence their own planning decisions. And that needs to be seriously considered before somebody from another location makes those decisions for us. Just because we have that resource out there doesn't mean we don't need to think about the wise use of that. And if we extend that further, we need to be thinking about what do we put back in that river? Whether it's stormwater or treated sewage. And you know, that's been in the news lately to a large degree. The smell downtown, the Moccasin Bend wastewater treatment plant. And then you go a little bit beyond that, you start talking about stormwater. And I think the number I heard was $400 million was the estimate to fix the stormwater issue. That's a lot of money. We've got to be thinking about those resources. You're exactly right, because we don't want to become like the individuals in Georgia we're talking about. Not that that would happen. That's probably an extreme. But why shouldn't we really use our resources wisely? I think that was your point, and I think it's a valid point. We do as a company look at promoting that. And first thing everybody says, well, if you promote wise water use or conservation, isn't that taking money out of your pocket? If you think about it, if we can mind the issue of conservation, if we can talk about that, and if we can promote that, where we find that people start using water a little more wisely, then it could perhaps save us from investing in a future treatment plant capacity. If we're using water more wisely, you know, the customer using less water, will that impact us financially as a company? Well, it probably will. And but there's ways to address that. But in the overall picture, if we're able to avoid a large investment on additional treatment plant capacity that would be passed on to the current customer base, overall it saves the customer money. People are a little bit wiser to using that water today. I think that the economy kind of plays a role in that, but we've seen this decline in usage for about 20 to 25 years. People are becoming a little more concerned about the environment. For some of the concerns you said, like the Colorado River, while that hopefully will never be the case in the East, and especially here, I think people see that and they think about that. And you know, I think it does make an impact. Now, that is something we'll have to address in the future also as a company, is the declining sales we see on residential usage. Right now, like I said, that's about 1.5% a year. And but at the same time, if you see us down here at the river during the river nights and the festivals, we're handing out wise water use little wheels where you can turn and you can see what fixture of plumbing should be using. And leak detection kits. Any of you that are customers of Tennessee American and you want a leak detection kit, all you have to do is call our customer service center. You'll get one free of charge.